Welcome everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. If you watch this video right now, I want you to pull up your Pokemon Go app and let me know the CP and the Pokemon that is your highest combat power Pokemon in the game. Mine is, as you can see just there, Gyarados sitting at 2899. If you've seen my last Pokemon Go episode, you'll know that I've been powering him up and he's my closest Pokemon to getting over that 3000 CP mark. And talking about the strongest Pokemon in the game and the strongest CP power in the game, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 Pokemon in Gen 2 that will have the highest CPs, excluding all the legendaries. We're also going to be recapping the Gen 1 top 10, but very quickly, just because they've all had CP altercations a few weeks back, and you guys can have a look at which ones are now the strongest. And on top of that, I'm going to talk about when is Gen 2 actually going to be coming out, because I get so many tweets every single day about it. You guys really want to know? Hey, I really want to know, and we're going to be discussing it right here, right now for you guys. So if you're excited for this, give it a thumbs up. I love Gen 2 and love talking about it whenever I can. So, first of all, let's have a very quick recap of the top 10 Pokemon in Gen 1 for CP power. So all the way at the bottom, you've got Machamp at number 10, coming in at 2,889 CP. Moving up, we've got Flareon in the Eevee evolution line at 2,904 CP. We then got Golem at 2,916 CP. Executor at 2,916 CP as well, both of those two side by side. We then have Lapras at 2,980, just outside the 3,000 CP mark. Then we've got Vaporeon at 3,157. He was already a monster and is even a bigger machine now. We then have Gyarados at 3,281. Sneaking just ahead of him is Rhydon at 3,300. Number 2 is Snorlax at 3,355. And then obviously the monster at the top is Dragonite at 3,581. If you've got any of those Pokemon even close to their max CPs, you've done a fantastic job. But that's a Gen 1 list. And it's interesting taking a look at the Gen 1 CPs, now jumping into the Gen 2 CPs, and the Pokemon you should really be keeping an eye out for when they finally launch in the game. Now, as I said, when is Gen 2 actually coming? I get tweets about it every day. First thing I want to say is it has not got an official release date at the moment. If you ever see a tweet or a Facebook post that says it's from someone official like Niantic or the Pokemon Go app Twitter account, go on to their accounts and actually check if it's been tweeted, because it won't have done. They aren't real. Now, there is a rumor there's going to be a big December update for Pokemon Go. If you guys don't know, every Wednesday or so, there is a update for Pokemon Go that has been pushing out new little things for quite a while now, which is awesome. We've got Ditto in the past, the new tracking update, the CP changes, and it's been happening quite regularly now on a weekly basis, which is great. We're getting updates. But December is obviously the holiday time, the Christmas time. We had the awesome Halloween update, where we not only got double candies, we got all of the awesome ghost type Pokemon, and I'm sure there will be something similar when it comes around to Christmas time, but at the moment there is no word of it. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get Gen 2 until we at least get something about the legendaries in Gen 1, and that has not even been talked about yet. So hold your horses for the moment. If you stay tuned here on the channel and over on my Twitter account, I will let you guys know when Gen 2 gets announced. Do not worry, but for the moment, there is nothing. This video is going to be prepping for it, letting us know the strongest ones, and I just love looking at numbers, and Pokemon Go is all about numbers. So let's kick it off with the top 10 CP Pokemon in Gen 2. So, first thing to note is that obviously the CPs in Gen 1 have been altered since launch, and this may well happen with Gen 2 when they come out if it feels some of the Pokemon aren't quite right at their power level. So we could see changes post-launch, but for the moment, this is how it will stand. Now, I've been a bit cheeky. I've actually made the top 13 list because I couldn't have the heart to cut out some of these Pokemon. If we go straight in at number 13, we've got Crobat at 2,348. I love Crobat because it evolves from Golbat. It'll probably cost you about 100 candies to do that evolution, but I love that it just gets so high up on the CP list, considering it starts off from a petty Zubat. So he would be number 13. Number 12 would be Houndoom. I love the Houndour to Houndoom evolution. He'll be about 2,371. I think he's an awesome fire-type dog Pokemon, and I cannot wait to catch him. Probably about a 50 candy evolution from Houndour. Then at number 11, we've got Dolphin at 2,448. Again, another two-stage evolution Pokemon that probably cost you about 50 candies as well. But those two are just too cool to miss off the list. And now we will jump into the top 10. All legendaries have been excluded, so there's nothing on there that won't be available straight away. So let's get into it. So as an optional evolution from Poliwag to Poliwhirl, you can obviously get Poliwrath in the current Pokemon Go, but instead you can also get Politoed, who comes in at 2,460. An awesome optional evolution there. It'll probably cost you 100 candies, so it won't be an easy one to get, but he'll certainly be very strong, rocking that water type, and he'll be an awesome addition to your party for sure. I mean, just seeing any Gen 2 Pokemon in your party will be awesome. And number 9, we actually have Meganium being one of the starting Pokemon, starting off as Chikorita, then Bailiff, then Meganium. It's actually the weakest of the 3 starting full evolutions in Gen 2, unfortunately. Whenever I played Pokemon Go back in the day, I honestly played the game like 15, 20, 25 times over. I'd always choose Chikorita as like a challenging start to the game if I wanted to have like a bit of a harder run through. So that poor thing is not the strongest out of all of them, but still, 9th out of all the Pokemon in Gen 2 is very strong indeed. And number 8, we've got Octillery, who's like a crazy octopus Pokemon who's always been quite strong and comes in at 2,565. Now, its pre-evolution is Remoraid, which is a little bit of a weird one. You wouldn't expect the fish to turn into an octopus, but hey, it does. And it's probably going to cost you maybe 50 candies. Most of these 2-stage evolutions probably will, but he's definitely going to be another strong water-type Pokemon, actually being higher than Politoed, so very good indeed. And the water Pokemon do not stop there, as Slowpoke has an optional evolution to turn to Slowking, who looks awesome. I love the Slowpoke's evolutions, and he comes in at 2,597, so very strong indeed. The water Pokemon in Gen 2 are very, very solid for Pokemon Go, that's for sure. And make sure you're saving up all of the candies for Slowpoke. I did a video ages ago talking about this, and to this day I still have loads of Zubat candies, loads of Slowpoke candies. I'm just waiting for that day so I can smash all the evolutions when Gen 2 comes out. I definitely recommend you guys do as well. So Slowking, fantastic. Now, I mentioned all the starting type Pokemon. At number 6, we have Typhlosion. I mean, honestly, I love the starting type Pokemon in Gen 2. Typhlosion coming in at 2,602, so just popping over that 2,600 CP mark. Obviously, a Fire-type Pokemon, awesome flames coming out his next. He is like such a cool Pokemon, but for me, wasn't my favorite. We'll come on to my favorite starting type Pokemon in Gen 2 in just a little bit, my friends. Do not worry. So we're now halfway through the top 10. We're now moving on to number 5, one of my favoriteest Pokemon ever. Like, I love Gen 2. Gen 2 was where I started, actually. I went Gen 2, back to Gen 1, and then continued on. So a little bit of a weird order. But for me, Ampharos at 2,618 is a godly electric Pokemon. I always grinded out for him or her, whatever you want to call him, to get them in my squad, because it was just such a strong Pokemon. When it like Thunderbolt, it was so powerful. I absolutely loved it. Starting off, obviously, as Mareep, then Flaffy, then Ampharos. This is going to be a big evolution line, probably costing you 100 candies to get all the way from Flaffy to the Ampharos evolution. But when you get it, and when I get it, I'm going to be so freaking hyped. It is going to be awesome. Next up, we've got Urazing coming in at 2,648 in the number 4 spot. A big, beefy bear Pokemon that evolves into very cute Teddiursa, I believe is the pronunciation. I am terrible at Gen 2 pronunciations, but I love them, do not worry. Just because I can't say their names doesn't mean I haven't used them so much in game. Like, often in games you see the Pokemon, but you never actually say their name out loud if you think about it. And some of them are very, very weird, especially when you get to the newer gens. But anyway, my boy Urazing is amazing. It's going to be very strong, hard-hitting Pokemon, so look out for him and build up those candies. I would say it's a tough one. Perhaps he could fall into the 75 or 100 candies for the full evolution because of how strong he is. Keep an eye out as we're moving into a top 3. And number 3, believe it or not, Porygon 2 sneaks in there. Now, I actually check my Pokedex and always have a look, and I've got quite a few, I think 4, maybe 5 Porygons at the moment, which is great, because you are going to need probably 50 minimum candies to get Porygon to Porygon 2, and it's a very rare Pokemon indeed. Crazy amount of CP. He's definitely going to be a beast in Gen 2. Keep an eye out for him, and obviously make sure you keep him hold of those Porygon candies. Maybe resist powering up any Porygons you got at the moment in preparation for this, because it will definitely be worth it. So, into the top 2 now, we've got my boy, Frealigator. I love him so much. At 2,678, it was my starting Pokemon of choice in Gen 2 every single time. He learned Slash, he could learn Surf, he could learn Hydro Pump, and just, he would sweep Pokemon for days. I loved him so very much, and his huge CP, putting him in the 2nd spot, is amazing. When it comes to Gen 2 and choosing a starting Pokemon, if you have to choose Chikorita, Cyndaquil, or Totodile, I would always go Totodile personally, but let me know which one you guys would choose down below, because when I get that Frealigator, I'll be so hyped. I mean, I've got all of them now. I've got Blastoise, got a few Blastoise, you've seen my last video, Venusaur and Charizard. It's never easy to complete those starting evolutions, but when you do, Frealigator is going to be way up there. Now, the reason I showed you guys the Gen 1 top 10 list was just to compare them number-wise. If you remember the numbers in your head, you'll know that the Gen 1 list is very, very high. In fact, if we take a look at it, we have most of the list being over 3000 CP. Up until this point, nothing has been above 2700 in Gen 2. Obviously, we haven't looked at the legendaries, but it's been a lot lower than the Gen 1 Pokemon. However, this is destroyed, and this is totaled, and this is absolutely demolished when Tyranitar comes in at the #1 spot, probably one of my favorite Pokemon ever in a Pokemon game ever. I would grind so hard to evolve him all the way up to his 3rd stage evolution, and I love him so much. And his beast stats come in at a huge 3653 CP, putting him not only as one of the best Pokemon in Gen 2, but one of the best Pokemon in the games ever. He is absolutely huge and is going to be one of the best Pokemons ever in Pokemon Go when it comes out. And obviously, grinding out for that Dragonite, you guys may know if you watched my last episode that I've been walking my Dratini for a while now. Was very lucky to hatch a Dratini from an egg recently, but it's taken me, what, months and months to get anywhere near that Dragonite. It's going to take people ages to get anywhere near that Tyranitar, and I will be grinding out so hard for him when it comes to Gen 2. I'm so excited. So guys, let me know when Gen 2 comes out, if we get the choice to pick a starter, which I hope we will, which starter will you go for out of Grass, Water, and Fire? And on top of that, what do you think of the CPs for the top 10 Pokemon in Gen 2 for Pokemon Go? Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. As I said, when Gen 2 gets more information announced about it, I will let you guys know straight away, both here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, maybe not Instagram, but pretty much everywhere you guys would know about it from me. I'm very, very excited indeed. So that's going to wrap up our top 10 list for both Gen 1, Gen 2, and let you guys know what's happening with Gen 2. So hopefully you guys really enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you have. For our next Pokemon Go episode, I'm going to be getting one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, so you do not want to miss that. I'll see you guys then later this week for a brand new Pokemon Go video.